Thank you very much for the intro. And yeah, so there is a question, it's the title of my session, and I hope that by the end of my session you will give an informed answer for yourself. What's that about? Art or science? Essential skill or maybe your next job title? I'm Maxim Salnikov. I came to you from Oslo, Norway, where I work at Microsoft. My internal job title is long and boring, but in a nutshell, I help developers to succeed with cloud and AI technologies. I'm a developer myself for a few decades and a big fan of the developer communities and developer events. In Norway, I run a few meetups and participate in a few conferences myself. And my favorite technical topics are web, or web front-end to be more precise, cloud and AI technologies. I love to start my sessions with some motivation. Like, beyond the fact that this topic is interesting and trendy, is that smart that you all gathered here, that you invest your time to this particular topic? Well, I believe these numbers by research companies say for themselves. Yes, this skill is in high demand already, as half of the organizations worldwide already have something related to AI, and it's growing. So we are actually in the beginning of the growing curve. Now, let me start with very basics, just to make sure that we are all on the same page before I move on. What is this all about? All this building your generative AI-infused or LLM-infused applications. In vast majority of scenarios, you build your own application backend and you send requests to, let's call them, provider of large language models and get something back. And of course, it all happens via API layer. There are different providers of these services, and in some cases, you can be provider on your own, but anyway, it works the same. And there are tons of various models for you to communicate with to build this or that kind of functionality. This is just a few of them. I pasted this list from one of the recent research by IDC and highlighted here like large company names like OpenAI, Google, Meta, Microsoft. Everyone is in this landscape, and tons of smaller players and new, like more complex, more sophisticated or more specialized models appear on market every single day. Talking about models, they are super different. Some of them are general, like family of GPT. So it's basically everything about text. Some of them are, say, text only. Some of them are multimodal, where you can supply as your request both text and image and maybe sound and who knows what else in the future. Some of them are super specialized, like something dedicated to biomolecular research. So models are different, but they have one common thing. If we look at the way how we interact with the models, and here on the screenshots and my examples, this is like customer-facing applications, but of course under the hood there is a backend of this particular application that sends requests to API of respective model. So Midjourney, bot on Discord, we just type something like description of the image we want to get from this large language model, still language, right? Even though it text to image, it all starts with the text, right? Then Microsoft Word with the recent Copilot also, we type something, draft proposal for my document based on meeting notes, also like all the data infused into the result. GitHub Copilot, my favorite tool so far. You can either get inline suggestions based on your on the code you write right here, right now, or you can write a comment. Or there is also Copilot chat where you can literally chat with your code, hey, write me test. Hey, what do you think about naming conventions in this file? Is it consistent? Like literally, you have a way to human-like conversation here. Not even saying about ChatGPT itself. It was like shared publicly actually 1 year ago, right? November 13th, 30th, if I remember correctly, and actually it opened the door to generative AI, let's say on global level, right? So not something that's only for data scientists or like for developers, but for everyone. And yeah, you chat. This is why it's called chat after all. And yeah, I spend my evenings in creating programming language for DJs. I do some homebrew DJ streaming, and I want to like formalize a bit how we mix one track with each other and create something like programming language. So I have discussions with ChatGPT on that topic, and sometimes we agree, sometimes not. Yeah, so you see, it's all about prompt, right? This is why we can safely say about skill, discipline, profession, you name it, called prompt engineering. There are lots of definitions of prompt engineering, and I compiled this one from multiple sources. So it's a process of designing, like starting from scratch, refining, it's always iteration, and optimizing. So your prompt can evolve over time. Prompts that you send for getting something from the model. And I also always keep this in mind, keeping cost efficiency. In vast majority of scenarios, you pay somehow for using these large language models, and of course, making sure that your prompts are cost efficient is also part of the game. Let's dive deeper in prompt structure or prompt anatomy, if you wish. And in this imaginary case, we try to get something as an email about newly released product or newly created product, and yeah, basically we try to we ask to write product launch email. What do we have here? Of course, it's a bit synthetic. To some extent, it's simplified a lot. To some extent, it's overkills a lot. But yeah, you will get a clue. So first of all, it's instruction, right? Like very explicitly in this case. Expressed our wish, what do we want to receive after all. Also, in many scenarios, we provide some input data, and we can call this primary data. It's a good idea to provide some extra context or secondary data if you wish, and here we ask to be friendly and exciting. We can also clearly and explicitly specify output format of the response. In our case, we ask to create JSON. So I assume this will be part of a longer chain of compiling something that human will see after all. And we even equipped this prompt with example, and in this particular scenario, example plays at least two roles. First of all, it provides example of texts we expect, like tonality and overall, let's say, mood and feeling. At the same time, we repeat output format, and you will see later why it's a good idea. And also, we even more explicit about where and what we expect, we expect to get some output, right? Maybe this is completely unneeded in this situation, but in some cases you can provide a bit more details in the queue where you, you can either repeat some parts of the prompt just to double down or triple down even in some cases. You decide. This is how we humans see the prompt, and this is how LLM understands what we send via API on their end. And before doing anything else, it splits our prompt to tokens. Token is a cornerstone of all prompt engineering idea. I'd say that not 100% of generative AI models on market operate tokens, but this is definitely mainstream. So if not 100, but 99.9 something. So this is good concept to know. And I'm not data scientist myself, so I'm not super deep in that field, but I know that large language models were trained on tokens. I mean, before consuming these huge amounts of texts, articles, whatever, it was tokenized, and there are of course, let's say, internal tools to tokenize. And this is why it operates not words, not characters, but tokens. And there is no like direct correlation between how many tokens in this particular word. That depends on many factors, and I will list a few of them. We can approximately say that this is like a 3-to-4 ratio if we talk about English language, because it also really depends on a particular language. And so in a nutshell, it's not like a session about how generative AI works, but in a nutshell, this is large language calculator. Based on token sequence you supplied as prompt, LLM just gives you the next most probable token that might continue your sequence, and then it iterates next and next and next and next, and after all you got some compiled output. Yeah, so I mean, you as developers don't have to like split words into tokens yourself, of course not, but you have to keep an eye on this, and this is where we come closer to cost efficiency. How do you pay normally? Again, maybe this is not for 100% of the cases, but it's for mainstream. For example, this is how you communicate with OpenAI directly or via Microsoft Azure Cloud, and the vast majority of models have similar pricing. You pay for number of tokens you send and received. And this is just a screenshot from a pricing table from Microsoft Azure OpenAI services, just as an example to illustrate that the prices are different, right, for a number of tokens you receive. And of course, like it's so cheap that we charge per 1,000 of tokens, and same for OpenAI directly. And also some price for receive. Of course, you multiply everything by number of calls you or your application does in production. And also, to be 100% precise, I also included here number of calls you do in experimentation stage when you try to find out your best possible prompt. And as you see from this table too, it also depends on the type of deployed model. And I'd say that there is very good trend for businesses in pricing, because prices go down like gradually. And just a few days ago, OpenAI announced that they quite dramatically reduce prices for their services. So if you run a startup based on generative AI, you have to recalculate your economy for positive side. And how to choose proper model? Well, the strategy is pretty simple. You normally start with the most complex, most advanced, and most expensive model. You get your favorite prompt, or like your not favorite, but efficient prompt, and then you can try to downgrade to cheaper model. If result is still the same or still satisfactory, you can stay there. And also, very good idea to combine multiple different models in one chain. Of course, this is not for one prompt, but normally not hello world-like solutions. They include multiple calls to LLMs in just one single chain. So just find best balance here. For simpler tasks, you can rely on simpler models. To continue on space efficiency, use white spaces carefully, and here I tokenized how this particular sentence could look like, and you see that every single white space that is not attached to a word is taking one token. I mean, you can easily have some extra white spaces that you didn't notice in your prompt, and if we multiply it by number of the calls, and if it's somehow customer-facing service that sends request to LLM on every customer interaction, yeah, it can make difference, right? Even such small thing. Then try various formats for different types of anything. And to illustrate that, this is how tokenized. And I listed here in order of space efficiency. And November 30th, 2022 in its full form is the most efficient. You see, it takes only 3 tokens. But if we try to, okay, we are smart, we want to make this shorter, and this data is also good for us. But you see, it takes 6 if we try to make it shorter. The rule of thumb experiment. I mean, there is no simple answer how this or that format could work for you. It's always an iterative process. Next recommendation, use tabular data safely. Use, for example, pipes as separators or tabs as separators. I mean, no need for you to recreate something like JSON where you provide caption or like a name of the field for every value you supply. I mean, you can do this, but this will be not space efficient. Tabular data is fine. And language. If there is a chance for you to send prompts in English, do this. It's the most efficient token-wise. For example, I compared same paragraph of text in English and Norwegian, and in Norwegian it was like way more tokens after all, maybe like x2 or even x3. Okay, let's stop here about space efficiency. I hope that I provided you some guidelines to save some budget on your communication with LLMs. Let me give you first some general recommendations how to make your prompts more efficient. Be as specific as possible. If you can provide as much as possible instructions, context, everything, this will give you better results. Of course, and hereafter, it's always a balance, right? You provide more context, more tokens, you pay a bit more. But on the other hand, your prompt is more efficient. Maybe you get result from the first time, a desired result, like satisfactory result. Maybe you can stay here. It's up to you. It's always experimenting. This is a word that you'll hear from me a lot in the next chapters. Order of instructions is important. There are no too many like straightforward rules where to post what, like instruction, primary data, example. Only few kind of rules and recommendations. I will give you that a bit later. Experiment again. Sometimes models are not very smart, let's say it like this. And sometimes you need to repeat your instruction here and there, just in one single prompt. Maybe start from this and finish from this. It's for, let's say, some not that often situations when you are not satisfied with the result, when you feel that your model doesn't understand. Of course, like understand is a completely incorrect word applied to all large language models. They do not understand anything what you send. They just predict next token. But yeah, to simplify, let's use this word. And in some cases, sorry, yeah, I think yeah, I'm a bit in sync. In some cases, you need to give model alternative way. And this is, let me clarify, it's mainly applicable for the cases, for scenarios when you try not to generate something new, but to categorize or classify some stuff. And there's an example on that. Don't let model to put this particular item into a set of predefined categories. Anyway, always write something like, if you are unsure, just write unsure or 0 or false or whatever works for your situation. This will, of course, this will require some manual work after, right, to make sure like where these uncategorized items belong to, but it's simpler job than trying to understand, okay, if this category compiled correctly or not. Let's go to more detailed, I call this technical recommendations. And this is recommendation that I mentioned earlier about order of the instruction and about doubling down. So if you feel that your prompt is not super efficient, try to have your instruction, explicitly expressed instruction, on top of the prompt, and maybe you want to repeat it at the end. Don't be shy to use some separators. So like structure your prompt as needed, and the more structured it looks, the better for final results. For example, I see that people often use like 3 hash symbols to differentiate like instruction or primary data and example, and give clear headings to these sections. Like if it's example, just write example, like be very explicit here again. Good idea not to try do multiple things at one time. So if there is a chance to split your prompt into multiple prompts, do this. Maybe like you spend a bit more, like dollars or cents on like multiple prompts, right? But again, we are here to talk about perfect prompts with great results. And also talking specifically about how OpenAI models work, but I believe this is somehow similar to all other models available. There are some parameters you can send in addition to the prompt itself, and in case of OpenAI, these called temperature and top probabilities. I'm not going to dive deeper into how these things like work exactly, but in the big picture, these controls level of creativity of the model. And if you want to get, let's say, more repeatable results, of course, you want to reduce creativity to 0. If you want to go wild and ask model to create something completely new every single time for the same prompt, you push this to the maximum. Basically, I believe both parameters are from 1 to 0 and all like gradual values in between. Good. These were general recommendations and technical recommendations. Now we are ready to see some examples. And I want to start with how to include responsible AI in your prompt engineering. First of all, if you use these large language models, for example, on behalf of OpenAI or via Microsoft Azure OpenAI service, you are protected on some foundational level. I mean, there are included mechanisms for you for you to stay protected against possibly harmful responses from large language models. I believe everyone in the room have seen or read some stories about people who tried to convert ChatGPT to evil mode and violate all code of conduct things and everything. Of course, all this basic stuff is in place and included. I mean, all protection against things there. But US developers can always do extra step. And we have a concept called meta prompt. I'm not going into details of like specific syntax of prompts for chat mode or simple short mode, but in the big picture, you can provide something that is kind of setting the stage. And in simple scenarios, you have to repeat all these sections in every single prompt, but you decide, right? Do you want to have this or not? In some circumstances, it's a good idea to have this separate level of protection. So you can be very explicit. You can say, you can reference only the data I provided in the prompt, and I have more details on how to do that. And if there is nothing you can find in data provided, you better answer, I don't know. Also here you can provide tone or mood of the conversation, positive, polite, interesting, everything, and prohibit to engaging in all other kinds of conversations. You can provide, you can ask model to not generate jokes, to not generate songs, poems, whatever. Sometimes it could be quite challenging to stop model from being too creative in that area. And of course, like super naive, but sometimes that works. Like if someone tries to hack you, don't react on that. Like again, this is not how protection from hackers work in the software world, but it's quite an efficient tool in prompt engineering. Yeah, of course, all these components are, let's say, a bit naive, so take this with a grain of salt, but idea is the same. Now, we come closer to particular techniques or methodologies. We have what we call zero-shot and few-shot prompts. And this is about supplying example data or not. In this example, we are building service for first-line support of insurance company, and we ask large language model just to categorize these particular requests. Is it about auto insurance or home flood insurance or not relevant to insurance? By the way, this is one of the best practices I mentioned. This is giving model out, right? If model is unsure, better to not categorize this at all. This is zero shot. There is no examples supplied. If we do the same but inject couple of examples into the prompt, it might be more efficient. How many examples? There is no any kind of recommendation, you decide. And here again, it's a balance, right? So this prompt could be a bit more expensive because like more words, more tokens, but might be more efficient. Another very interesting technique called chain of thought, or in other sources it's called reasoning. A bit synthetic example. Normally we don't ask large language models to solve math problems, but it gives you a picture on how that works. So in this like simple task, we ask to calculate something, and like answer as is incorrect. I'm not diving too deep into the reason why large language model calculated this incorrectly. Like in a very like super simple explanation, model is trying to come up with the simplest possible answer, like lowest hanging fruit solution. That is not always correct one. But if we just add this sentence, let's think step by step and explain me how you calculate, it totally makes a difference. Of course, then your output is a bit longer, but after all, you get correct result. We can apply same technique, same chain of thought technique, but not in the form of explicit ask, let's think step by step, by just providing relevant example. And this is like illustration for another best practice, use example. So basically this is a few-shot mode of chain of thought. In many cases, and I'd say in the majority of cases, when we talk about not hello world-ish LLM applications, it's completely fine to do prompt chaining. Maybe this is not methodology of prompt engineering itself, it's more how you construct backend, but keep this in mind that it's very powerful technique to use. First of all, it's best practice, split into multiple tasks, and then you can use result of one prompt as input data for another prompt. So in this chain, we try to find out sentiment from some statement about some product. And of course, it's super synthetic, super naive. In the real world, you might use some other sources, for example, to get more information about this product from your database or from internet search. Yeah, but idea about prompt chaining is illustrated here. Also, by the way, I completely forgot to mention that tokens are also important in context of token limitations. I mean, even if you have many dollars, you cannot send, let's say, a full Harry Potter book as a prompt to generate your next episode of this series, because there is always token limitation. And if you remember the table with pricing, it also included number of tokens that are accepted as input. And it's not about like, let's say dozens or hundreds, it's about thousands. And currently, if I remember correctly, most capable commercial model can accept 32,000 tokens. That's quite a while, right? I mean, not whole book, but at least dozens of pages. But in some cases, you need to get summary of something large, right? And prompt chunking for salvation, you just split your initial data into some chunks. Of course, we keep behind curtains how exactly we split, how exactly we do this chunk. Also, could be some smart techniques. And then you ask for summary of this particular chunk, and then you ask for summary of the summaries. Also, a very important technique. Now, let me check if if you follow me on LinkedIn. This was posted yesterday by myself. It's article from yesterday, Cambridge Dictionary. They identify word of the year every single year. So, drum roll, what is the word for 2023? It's directly related to our today's topic, and I tried not to say this word during my session. Yes, please? Absolutely. Let me introduce word of the year 2023, hallucinate. Because, I'm not surprised to see this. And it's news from yesterday, so this is a slide that I added just last minute. I'm not surprised because, generative AI is defining technology of the year, and hallucinating is one of the largest blocker in using these amazing technologies. Before I move to reducing hallucination, for the records, I predict next word of the year 2024 will be Copilot. Maybe I will. So how to reduce all these annoying hallucinations? Basically, this is repeating many of techniques I already introduced. Be explicit. Tell model that you want, and what more important, that you don't want to get back. Giving model an out. If you're not sure, just ask model, I don't know, or whatever you want to get as output. Super naive statement, but still efficient in some cases. Don't make up facts. Don't fabricate facts. Also, you can ask, answer only if you have all credentials needed for, all the details on the context needed for the answer. Otherwise, also just answer, I don't know. Chain of thought or reasoning is also a good addition to reducing hallucination vaccine. It's a kind of a variation of chain of thought, but you can ask model to explain why it exactly answering this or that way. And here we are coming to a super important topic. Inject your own data into the prompt. You already have seen this technique in the prompt for responsible AI, but bringing data to your prompt is crucial. I'd say this is relevant for 99% of scenarios for enterprise usage. You don't want to rely on the knowledge that LLM model gathered during training. It's always limited. It always limited both by scope of information and by date when it was trained. And of course, it knows nothing about your corporate documents, about your corporate data. So injecting your own data into the prompt is crucial, and there are lots of different techniques how to do this. After all, you get some good result even in this naive example with 3 sentences injected. Basically, we can reason about technique called retrieval augmented generation, or RAG, and this is big deal for all prompt engineering. Once you are in this field, you will use RAG every single day. Again, if you talk about not hello world and you talk about real enterprise scenarios, this is about, let's say, engineering the way you, first of all, understand query to run against your company database, knowledge base, whatever, and also you can use LLM here. Then and of course it should be quite a smart component, right? I mean, if you want to inject something into prompt, you have to keep in mind this token limitation, token pricing, token everything. So ranking, proper ranking of the documents you receive from knowledge base is crucial. Then you inject results into the prompt and run final prompt against language model. Looks simple here. Yes, please, I see a question. Very good question about what kind of data you can inject, if it's like a private, secret, sensitive, regulated industries, public sector companies. I'd say there is no one simple answer. Every provider of LLM has their own statements on how this data used for what. Where is the boundary? For example, for EU, European Union, is this data going to US legislation or not? Like, I'd say you can take informed decision after reading all these privacy statements. In many cases, this is something, let's say, in lawyers' language, but yeah, this is that kind of field. But yeah, I mean, it's case by case. You take your own decisions. What I want to illustrate that in real world, if we want to build something really smart, we have to inject data from multiple sources. In this example, we built chatbot for our e-commerce solution that is selling goods for travel. And someone is asking, will my sleeping bag work for my trip to Patagonia next month? From this simple sentence, we can extract tons of different things, right? And we can send requests to this or that API, internal or external or whatever, to provide this extremely smart, extremely let's say hyper contextual answer, right? So, I just want to illustrate that, let's say, you don't want to build all this ping pong, all this chaining from scratch. My next section of presentation is about tooling. Do we have some cool libraries, frameworks, whatever, to make our life simpler? The answer is yes. And let me briefly say about a couple of libraries here called LangChain and Semantic Kernel. I put them on one slide because they are somehow similar. They are somehow compete with each other. Both of them are open sourced, free to use, have, I believe, some commercial services attached if you wish to use it that way. But in big picture, both services are helping you to compose or orchestrate or you name it, all these various components that can be beneficial for your chain of prompts. Slightly different terminology, slightly different set of language and frameworks supported in these two libraries. I recommend you to have a look at both of them before taking the decision. And in LangChain, they operate like chains, like it's language chain, right? After all, chains and agents, while in Semantic Kernel, they operate plugins and connectors, but after all, you get really nice tools and, let's say, high abstractions for great developer experience. But what if we look at bigger picture? What if we talk not about building application itself or building this code itself? Still, even with all this, sending requests to APIs and especially with tools like LangChain and Semantic Kernel, it's trivial, right? So it's just a ping pong of some stuff and smart compiling all together. What if we look at bigger picture? How LLM app works in general, and where is best home for our prompts, taking into account that we want to have good tools for prompt designing or prototyping or creating from scratch. Extremely good tools for experimenting, because this is a crucial part of all the story. And I promise you, before you push something into production, it will be like a 100th version of your prompt that you created. So experimenting, iterating, checking against this model, that version of the model, that LLM service is super important. And developer experience is, we all want to have great developer experience around that. Deploying itself and optimizing, and not mentioned here, but monitoring, right? Basically, we can reason about operationalizing development of our LLM applications, and this is, I'm not going deep into this relatively complex diagram, but it says that lots of different decisions to be taken, lots of experimentations. Answering your question, we want to understand what kind of data and who has access to this in every component. Not even saying about DevOps, we definitely want to have everything as code, repeatable, reusable, and iterative, and with safe and responsible AI included. Is there a tool for that level of abstraction? Yes, I'm super happy to introduce a tool called Prompt Flow, created by my colleagues from Microsoft. Like, it's fresh tool and under super active development. It's open source, and yeah, next slide was about that. But if you talk about capabilities, everything for evaluation, it's all YAML based. That means if you don't want to use graphical editor for your prompt, just go and do code first experience. You super easily plug in and change connections between this LLM provider to that LLM provider, and all basic libraries, including semantic kernel and LangChain, are included in this flow. And if you look at the ecosystem, what's this like package library or whatever about? First of all, amazing plugin for VS Code that gives you visual experience, how you actually build your flow of your prompt, and also packages for your favorite IDE. So just install prompt flow package and you'll get PF command available that makes many things for you. Unfortunately, we don't have too much time for diving deeper. I recorded this simple video to show you experience that you have in hosted version of prompt flow. It's on Azure, but it's very similar to what you get in your, for example, VS Code editor via plugin. So just imagine that we have, and like using prompt flow, you resync a bit your architecture of your LLM-based application. Actually, you structure everything around flow of your prompt or prompts in that scenario. Basically, this is graph, or more technically precise, it's DAG. It's a directed acyclic graph where every node represents either prompt or like a variation of prompts where you can easily interchange them, or sending requests to some external service, for example, to Azure OpenAI API to actually get completion, or just a snippet of code, like Python in that case. So, yeah, let me start the video. In this sample, first of all, we understand intent, we understand what to send, then we create embedding, like vector representation. We send this vector representation to our search query. Then, based on output, using Python code, we basically do some simple string operations to create context. We paste this into overall chat history and send this as prompt. And after all, we can go and deploy this as a virtual machine or application service, you decide. And by the way, Prompt Flow itself as a package, as community edition, is not attached to any cloud provider at all. I mean, if you use Azure, go for this. Any other hyperscaler, it's for everything. It just gives you some container that you can deploy anywhere. And final result of prompt flow application is API endpoint that you can easily call, for example, from your backend. Basically, idea is outsource, externalize everything related to LLMs into that separate flow, because as I mentioned, how we architecture, how we think about that kind of software development is different from, let's say, classical one. Okay, I want to finalize my session with a few links about where you can learn more about prompt engineering. There are at least 5 amazing free learning resources where you can either read text or watch videos and even get free certifications for some of them. By the way, that's good that you took out your mobile phones. I will explain in my next slide. Also, a couple of weeks ago, I'm a big fan of prompt engineering myself, and you see it, I have only one sticker on my laptop. And by the way, before I forgot, I have a few very unique stickers. I'm prompt engineer, and after my session, you are all in the room junior prompt engineers. Put it on your CV. Yeah, I held conference, full-scale, online, free conference. All recordings are available. 10 hours of prompt engineering content. And keep your mobile phones here, because instead of remembering all the links, everything, just let's stay connected on LinkedIn. Send me connection request. It's my great pleasure to accept all connections from full room of prompt engineers, and ask me, Maxim, is there a link for this slide deck? Of course, I will share everything with a huge, huge pleasure. That's everything from myself. Thank you.
Thank you very much. After this session, we have a new friend, right, on LinkedIn. Do we have any questions? Yes.
Hi, so a long time ago I heard the legend that SQL language was created for non-proficient users to have access to data using just natural-like language. And as I see right now from your story, that prompt engineering becomes from natural language to kind of programming language. And do you have some kind of prognosis when it will be possible to communicate with the computers in really natural language, or it will always tends to becoming a kind of programming language? Thank you.
Very, very good question. And yeah, I actually haven't heard that SQL or SQL was created as a way to communicate with data in natural language. To some extent it is, right? It's like where, like order, by, yeah, but of course, maybe it went wild, right? And it's syntax, and now it's hardly can be called natural language. But by the way, just to follow up on that, you can use prompt engineering to create SQL queries based on what you say as a human. Yeah. So back to your question. So yeah, I believe the answer is about levels of interactions. I mean, as end user, you don't have to take care about these techniques, methodologies at all, right? And if you've seen yesterday a keynote from Microsoft Ignite, what Microsoft introduces as new products, new services, like 90% of all announcements were about like Copilot here and there. There's Windows Copilot, there's Azure Copilot, Office Copilot, Dynamics Copilot, everything. And the whole intention is to offload people from building something using formal programming language or scripting language or configuration language. Just let them express everything in human language, right? So on that level, it all goes for simplification, and models, of course, are smarter and smarter, capable and understand even, I don't know, very fuzzy and blurry descriptions when you are not sure yourself what you want to get. You can still get something. This is on one hand. On the other hand, there are still people who build these services, developers, right? And in that area, yeah, that becomes more and more complex, of course. All these techniques I mentioned, this is very beginning of prompt engineering, I'd say. I'm a bit scared about how can I run similar session for multimodal services when we can not only talk about how to use language, but also what kind of image to provide, what kind of sounds are better for consumption of the model. So it becomes like very like immersive experience. And of course, more and more techniques appear, LLMs, some become smarter, some becomes more capable. So yeah, for developers, that's first of all, super interesting to learn and more complex. So this is why, I mean, if you want to stay on the customer side, it's simpler and simpler. On developer side, let's say more interesting and more interesting. Yes, please.
Wonderful talk, very informative.
Thank you, thank you.
On your vaccine slide, you had a recommendation to ask ChatGPT to not make up facts.
Yes.
I mean, with dirty or ambiguous data, how does that work exactly?
Yeah, I'm not saying that this is a solution, right? Otherwise, we don't ever need to have this discussion about content filtering, about abuse monitoring, everything and everything. But still, in some cases, it might work. It might work, it might not work. This is all experimentation. From my personal experience, I created proof of concept for this, what I call enterprise ChatGPT, like simple concept of this retrieval augmented generation when I upload PDF with some facts and try to keep model within these facts only, using all the techniques I mentioned. And what I really struggled with is prohibiting model to answer as poems and songs. So I imagined myself as a user who wants to get answer about insurance, but with rhymes and maybe with some extra, I don't know, mood on that. Okay, I wrote in my prompt, don't create poems and songs. It didn't work. I repeated this multiple times with different words. So after all, I got something more or less working, but this is a process. I mean, of course, don't rely on don't make up facts as a statement. It's good to add, nice to have this in mind, but in many cases, you have to go deeper.